Fun today to talk to my good friend, my partner, my pal, Debbie, and just talk about the stuff that's going on.
We had pearls of wisdom today. So we sort of did a short account of many of the podcasts that we've had, a little summary. So if everyone listens and tunes into this, they can maybe find some pearls here and then go back and listen to some of our favorite podcasters. But anyway, we had a fun day. So listen up.
Yes, we did. Thank you for joining us.
The world is a lot right now. Are you feeling it? We all need new tools to help us walk through the chaos with grace, ease, and compassion for each other and for ourselves. In this podcast, you'll hear from parents, educators, and other experts who can bring perspective to the monumental job of parenting. It's time to level up and be warriors for our kids and our communities. This is the Warrior Parent Podcast. I'm Marci Mitchell.
And I'm Debbie DiManno. As parents, we understand that it really does take a village to raise our kids. We hope that this podcast serves to create and support that community for you. Join us as we discuss and practice our core tools, which are proven mind-body techniques that can be used by anyone to improve your life on a daily basis.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Warrior Parent Podcast. Today, we are talking to each other again. So every once in a while, we love having our guests. We have amazing guests every week, and it's been tremendous. And that's part of what we're going to talk about today, because this is a transformative journey for us, and it's a transformative time on the planet. And so doing this podcast, which I freely admit I was not open to in the beginning. I did not think it was a good idea. I didn't know who wanted to listen to us, but it has been such a transformative thing, and it has been fun, and I've enjoyed it, and we've learned so much. And I hope that you, the listener, are learning a lot too, because we do get great feedback from people who are listening. I know these experts, these wonderful heart-centered people who are coming on the show have so much to share and to give. And every time we do one of these, it seems like we make a new best friend. We're like, oh my God, I love this person.
Yeah, like, do you want to be on our board, or do you want to
Yes,
help
that's
us make
happened.
do you want to help us make some videos?
Yes, that's happened.
Do you want to, how can you participate, or they show up again, or
Yes,
maybe we're going to come visit some people next summer.
absolutely.
Like, yeah, like it is just it has expanded my brain. I can't even tell you how much, but
For
man,
real.
it feels good. It feels
Yes,
good.
it feels really
Yeah.
good. And we
So
hope you're having a similar experience, finding your heart expanding, your knowledge about issues around families and people who seem different from you, and mental health, and tools that can help bring you back to a place where you feel calm and peaceful and graceful instead of out there in the craziness of the world. So that's a little bit about what we're going to talk about today, because
we're
you
gonna
know,
we're gonna title it Pearls, right?
yes,
Pearls of
pearls.
Wisdom. Yes. So
Yes, and that makes me think of this one thing that I heard when I was in the Army, and it was actually spoken about a good friend of mine. But a crusty old NCO said to him one day, "Sir, you are a pearl in a pile of shit." And that is sometimes what we need to be when it feels like we're in the shit, we're in the crap. We can still be a pearl, we can still be a diamond, we can still be whatever resonates for you. The really beautiful thing, they're always there. So instead of
yeah.
focusing on the shit, focus on the pearl.
Yes.
So so Deb
Yeah.
has made some notes about a lot of the pearls that she's found, and she's going to bring those up in a moment. But I'm going to start by going back to this weird energy, this weird shit that's out there. And I think a lot of people are going through it. I talk to people all the time who are like sharing their medical scare, or the
Yeah.
chaos in their family, or the chaos with their work, or fear around this election, which we
Yeah.
are 2.5 weeks out. I know everyone's feeling it. I'm feeling it. I'm seeing it. So
Are we in a retrograde something right now?
I don't know,
By
but
the
as
way.
of our recording, and this won't be aired till later, but it was a full moon last night, a super moon.
Yes.
And we do a ritual at my spiritual center, and so many people showed up. And my first thing to say was, I'm so glad you're all here. And I assume everybody's kind of feeling it, and that's why you're here. Lots of nodding,
Yes.
head.
Yes.
So yeah, I know it's going on out there and it looks different for everyone, and it's okay. It's all part of something bigger unfolding. I want to reassure you of that. I have people
Yes.
reassuring me of that. We need to reassure each other that it's okay. Sometimes I'll turn to my husband and say, in the midst of something, I'll say, "Can you just please tell me it's going to be okay?" And he knows to do that. So he does it anyway. But sometimes I'll just tell him, like, right now, I just need you to tell me it's going to be okay and mean it.
Yeah.
And he does.
And
So
she
that's
has a
fun.
she has a giant teddy bear husband,
I
Frank.
do.
Yeah.
I
Like
do. And he's an
anyone
optimist.
who's yes, anyone around him wouldn't feel safe around Frank. Yes. Yes.
Yes, he is. He is a safe space. And yeah, so we got to be here for each other, for our families, for our friends, for strangers on the street. When you see someone and you can just tell, like, just give them a smile, just even say it's going to be okay. You can tell. We're talking about the election, and it takes me back to November 5th, 2016, the day that Trump was elected. And it was such a hard, or the day after, I should say, the day after, known as the day after. Um, it was a hard time for a lot of us, especially for women, for people who thought we were going to see our first female president. I was excited about that. My kids were excited about that. We were going to make history, and instead, we made history in a much darker way, in a much sadder way. And then for me, and I think for a lot of people, followed 4 years of anxiety and hate and othering and, talking about shithole countries and deporting people and calling other, people from other countries rapists and murderers and terrorists. And it's
Yeah.
just worse now. I feel like it's even more of this now.
Yeah.
And we're seeing it, and yet we're seeing that this isn't just a home run, that we actually have to think and worry about this actually happening again
Yeah.
after an insurrection, after our democracy was challenged, after people who were ill-informed and listening to a crazy person broke into our Capitol and literally crapped in the halls and broke down doors and broke windows and, threatened the vice president with bodily harm. And our democracy was in real danger. And I sat in front of my TV watching that, just in amazement and then gratitude when it was stopped, and then when democracy did unfold and we were able
Well,
to complete
yes.
what needed to be done. So we prevailed, but things are feeling scary again, folks,
Yeah.
and don't forget that. And this isn't a
Well,
political podcast, but this is politics means people,
yeah.
and this is a
Well,
crazy time.
what we know to be true is that if speaking in generalities, spiritual generalities, it's all showing up to be healed, right? And we all know that we're having to go through this period of transition, through this period of darkness, for us as species
Yes.
to rise above it, right? It's no different when I think back for myself and my own healing journey. Like, I had to go to a really, really, really dark place, a place
Mhm.
where I seriously had a near-death experience. I thought I was going to die, right? For me to think differently about my health, to think differently about myself as a human being, to think more positively every day, to have gratitude every day. I see the world in a very different place. And I think this will have to happen however it shows up.
Mhm.
It has to happen for the planet to be able to see that, because they couldn't see the difference otherwise. It was all it's all been taken for granted, if you ask
Yes.
me, right?
Yeah, and a lot of
So
people have been basically just unaware,
yeah,
sleepwalking, just
I
day to
I'm
day,
I'm
go to
I'm
work, go to the
I'm that
market.
person. Yeah, I
Yeah,
took it for granted.
yeah,
I really had no idea that that could ever go away. So so
yeah.
on on a happy note, Uh, let's talk about it. Let's talk about a Marcy story and something.
Oh,
I know you had something kind of cool happen to you. So
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So, in the midst of all this, I was actually just home for a funeral for someone who I consider like an auntie. She was one of my mom's very best friends, just beautiful woman. We called her Pretty Carrie at her request because her daughter was Carrie Ballou. And so she said, "You can call me Pretty Carrie." So as a child, this is what I called her, Pretty Carrie, and just a lovely person. And so, anyhow, went to her funeral, and I love this is going to sound weird, but I almost love funerals because I love to honor people's lives. And that's what I see a funeral or a memorial service is about. Like we
Yeah.
celebrate births. When people go out, hopefully they go out in a way that's graceful and easy. It's not always like that, but no matter
Yeah.
what, to me it's a time to just honor this person and all the good. So I was down there for that at my mom's house. I have my 40-year high school reunion a week from today, next Friday. I checked out the venue. It's down there in Huntington Beach area in Orange County. Love the venue. I had already been, arranging it, but I hadn't seen it yet. So I went and saw it 2 days ago. Loved it. Came home yesterday, last night, getting ready to go to the full moon ritual, and I get a call from the venue. They have been shut down by the city from a noise complaint 1 week before my reunion. And so far, we have like about 150 people. We have a band coming. We have caterers. Like I've been on the committee. We've done a lot of work. We've got it all
Yeah.
set up. And I'm like, wow, wow. And so I'm at a choice at this moment because I can go there. I can be like, my God, we got to cancel it. We got to this, blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah. But luckily, I have done a lot of work. And so it's going to be okay. It's going to work out. It's going to, and then I sent out the email to the rest of my team, went to the full moon, stayed centered, did some meditation, did some journaling. This morning, Friday mornings is my morning to do affirmative prayer treatment with my minister, this wonderful woman, Reverend Sherry Wynn, who is just a bright light on the planet. And we've had her on the podcast. She's one of
Yes.
our pearls for sure.
Yes.
So Reverend Sherry and I do over the phone every Friday morning at 8:30. We get on the phone and we pray for each other. We talk about what's going on and we pray. So I said, today, all I want is to find a new venue, even better than the old venue, and just have this be the most fantastic reunion. Just have a wonderful experience with my high school friends. And once I got off the phone, I got a call from another venue that the original venue had contacted for me. It's a better space. It's a bigger space. It has better parking. It's beautiful. They're gonna have a bartender and everything for us. And
Of course.
less than 24 hours later, we're all set with a new venue. We're on board. Like I had just kind of put a post out in the Facebook group to say, "Hey, everybody, look for a venue," and then I immediately was like, "Never mind, we got one."
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Of
yes,
course. Of course.
yes, just
Yeah.
and so that is when we talk about tools for me, and it doesn't have to be if you are not religious or don't consider yourself spiritual or don't believe in God or do believe in God or believe in this God or that God, whatever. Prayer, for me, prayer is we don't beseech. We don't sit there and say, "Oh, please, can I have this? Can I have that?" It's a centering, and I studied this for several years. I am what's called a prayer practitioner in my spiritual community. It is centering on the truth of who you are, of what you are, of your connection to spirit, to whatever that divine energy is, God, Allah, nature, science, call it whatever you want. Um, but it's connecting with that inner light and with that place where you are one with the good, with the divine energy, and then you're at choice. You're saying, "This is what I want," and so you're
Yes.
talking about it. A new venue, better than the other one, great parking, everyone's having a great time, and you voice it. You remember your connection. You voice what you're looking to bring in, and then basically you show gratitude, like Debbie said, gratitude, finding gratitude. Thank you for this truth. Thank you. I know all is well. I know it's all unfolding, and then you let it go. You release it into, we say you release it into the law, but the idea is you let it go, just like you plant a seed and you don't dig the seed up. Look at it. You plant it, you water it, and then you say, do your
Yeah.
thing. And then you
Yes.
just know that seed's coming up.
Yeah.
So that
And it works.
practice weekly has been transformational for me. So
Yeah.
whether it's your minister or it's a friend, or even if it's just you in meditation, take
Yeah.
time on a regular basis, set an alarm, do it every week. Having another person is really divine because a few things. It holds you accountable. Like you're not going to be like, oh, I can't do that today. I'm too busy. You got
Yeah.
someone who's looking for you to pray for them, and you're gonna and they're gonna pray for you. So that's one thing, accountability. The second is just the energy. When I'm in it and I'm going a little crazy, I need Debbie or I need Reverend Sherry or I need my husband to say it's okay. So that's the other thing about showing up with someone else. It's a
Yeah.
divine practice. I highly recommend it.
Yes. And she's good at it. So many
I'm
things.
getting better.
So many
Practice,
things.
practice, practice.
Yes, so many things for us have shown up in amazing ways. Number one is our nonprofit organization, Core Experience, is still thriving after all these years and continues to. We continue to bring in new people. And our podcast is doing very well. We're a year and a half in. So that being said, I wanted to remind people around these pearls and some of the people that we brought in. So if they are listening, they can go back and take these pearls and go back and go, oh, I want to listen to that one again or this one again or whatever. So anyway, I found a few pearls and I want to talk about that. So number one, I was just listening. So last week, because it's current, I just was listening to it with Susan Talone from New Jersey. She runs this really beautiful place, and we've done a lot of discussions on suicide. So this is the last you're going to hear on this, but she was talking about some pearls. She was very good to give like one, here's three things you can do, or one thing you can do. But she was talking about speaking to someone who may be having suicidal ideation. And the pearl that she gave was when you're having a conversation with that person to say, thank you. First of all, thank you for sharing this information with me. And the second thing was tell me more.
Yes.
Tell me more. And that is, it still like chokes me up a little bit because you and I have done a lot of this training and I've never heard anyone say that before. And, she's someone who's been dedicated 40 years of her life to doing this. And I think if everyone learned that one thing to say, because normally people come up and they'll say, I don't know what to say. Am I going to say the
Right.
wrong thing? Right. And
Right.
they shut down instead of showing up. But that's a pretty easy thing to say. And that
It
one
is. And
stuck out for me as a real pearl.
yes.
Yeah.
Brene Brown has a similar one that she talks about, and she says, say more. And I've used that too.
Yes.
So just in communication, sometimes we're expressing something with someone else, especially if it's fraught, if it's emotional, if it's kind of heavy, and
Yes.
they're expressing something, and if you're not clear, get used to
Mhm.
saying that, say more about that. Keep talking about that because I want to understand you. It validates the other person. I care about what you're saying. I want to
Yeah.
understand. And it gives you more information. Let them talk more about it. And then if there's a part you don't get, there's a term for this too. I think it's a mirroring thing, but where you kind of repeat it back. So wait, you're saying this. One
Yes.
thing that I'm seeing in the world is communication is hard. And so you can think you were so clear. I'm someone who's very conscious of my language. So when I'll write out an email and I'll think I laid everything out so clearly here. And then
Yeah.
a person can come back and we can be absolutely on two different planes in far as what we're
Yeah.
thinking was said. And I see that
Yeah.
more and more. So say more and then repeating it back. So wait, are you saying this? And then they
Yes.
might be like, yes, that's what I'm saying. Or they might be like, no, no, no. What I meant was this. And then you can come together and connect and
Yeah.
actually communicate. Because if you both think you're saying the same thing and you're not, and it
Yeah.
happens more than you think.
Yeah. I think in January we should make a note to have a podcast on communication.
Communication.
That's a big one. So we used to do
It
little
really is.
workshops on that, but
Mhm.
that's a big one.
Yeah.
The other thing that I was remembering was the conversation with Matt Helm and his beautiful wife Larissa.
Oh, yeah.
And I know you love this too, but they were talking about creating a mission and vision statement for your relationship and for your family,
Family. I
right?
did love that.
Wow, right? Who thinks of this? Right? Who does this, right? But I'm
And
telling
why
you what,
don't we?
I don't know. But come January, I'm sitting down with my husband and we kind of do this anyway and vision board and whatever, but I don't think we've actually ever sat down and done a mission vision statement. So I
I love
love that
that.
one. And
I
everyone
just
go
saw
back and
something
listen to
on
Matt Helm.
social media the other day that was a Japanese custom, and I don't remember the word for it, but the idea was that every year you had a not exactly a theme, but you had at least one big thing that you were going to do. So it's kind of related. Like you were like, this is the year I'm going to get that take that class and get that certificate and whatever. Or this is the year
Yes,
I'm going to Europe. This is a goal for my family this year. Well, 2025, we're doing this trip to Europe. So this is
yes,
part of
yes,
it, like getting intentional because we know energy flows where your intention goes. So where
yes,
is your attention? Is it on
yes.
fear and chaos and blah, blah? Or is it on, I want to go to Europe. I want to make this much money. I want to
I want
buy
to go
this
visit
home.
Rosie Peacock.
I want to go see Rosie Peacock in England and go to have a mushroom psychedelic experience and
Yes,
expand my consciousness. Yes, I'm
yes.
putting that one on there too. Thank you.
Yes. So that
So
was
what a
that
great
was that
idea.
yes, that was one of my pearls was Rosie Peacock.
Wow.
So of course, my some of my family has also gone to the Netherlands recently and had a little trip. But it was not with Rosie Peacock, and I don't recommend that to anyone. But what I did
He
find,
doesn't recommend not doing it with a guided person, just to be clear.
yes.
We do
So
recommend Rosie Peacock. Yes.
yeah, the way she does that is so beautifully done, right? So you do the work, with her prior to the psychedelic trip, right?
Yeah.
So and then you go, you can do the work with her and then
Yeah.
you come home and then you continue to do the work
Oh,
and
yeah.
that feels so magical. Like so that's full brain processing.
Yes.
Right. It's not just like, oh, I had this thing and it's kind of stuck and I'm not sure what that is or what that means or whatever, but how beautiful to have an entire experience around it.
A guided process. And
Yes.
again, intentionally, because that's a big part of it. What is your intention? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Rosie Peacock was a great episode. Look that one up,
Woo.
guys. Yes.
Yep. We got to have her on again. Like
Yeah.
she's kind of the master.
Yes.
Something else that comes to mind was Sabrina Trobach. And we have been talking about this for a long time, you especially. Like, I really want to have this discussion on core beliefs, right?
Mhm.
And I kept saying, like, I don't even know if anybody understands what core beliefs are, if they've really ever done any work about that, or because I think all of the external noise has
Yep.
just disrupted people's beliefs. They don't really like, who am I and why do I believe this? Is that even
Yes.
who I am? I don't think people are stopping to question that. Or maybe it's going back and doing some work, like Matt and Larissa say, going
Mhm.
back to the basics of who am I and
Yes.
why am I here? Why am I living this way? Is this my truth?
Right. Because we absolutely have core beliefs. You have core beliefs. The question is, are they intentional? Back to it. Is it something that you really want, or is it something that maybe someone else planted when you were a kid or at work or at school that when you actually look at it and examine it is not really what you believe at your heart or what you want for your life? So
Exactly. It's what
think,
somebody else has
yes,
believing.
it's
It could be your parents who have imposed these thoughts or beliefs on
yeah,
you, right? And until you
society.
maybe gotten away from a
Mhm.
situation, gotten out of a relationship, whatever it is, that you can sort of come back to
Yeah.
that. My daughter's going through a little bit of that right now, like
Yeah.
kind of who am I? And I think it goes in stages too, right? Like what happens in your 20s and your core beliefs and your 30s and your 60s, like it
Yeah.
all shows up. It all shows up a little bit different. And I think it's important for people to go back and reevaluate your core
Yes.
beliefs.
And so this is what the thing when we talk about being woke, it's not really a political thing. Woke is awake and aware. So
Yes.
you can be just plodding along, blah, 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 or you can be intentional. Again, this must be the theme of the podcast, but you
Yeah.
can choose what do you want in your life. Again, just like you said, the mission values statement at the beginning of the year, and then live your life according to that. So if your value is equity, then when you come into a situation that is not equitable, now you're like, wait a minute, this is outside of my values, this
Yeah.
job, this club, this whatever it is, this viewpoint, this person on the ballot, they are outside my core values. And so that's not where I'm going. This is my value and I'm going this way. And
Yeah.
you're intentional about it. And that makes all the difference in your life,
Yeah.
being versus being asleep, being sleepwalking through your life.
Yeah. Yeah. I was thinking about one of my favorite podcasts, and it was with a dear friend of ours, which is Nicole Andrews. And
Mm.
to me, talk about core values and having an awakening to what her core values are. We went back to trauma, of course, and trauma can be your treasure and how she's worked through that. But she had some really important things. One of the things she said, I want to get this right, that you have to power through the judgment and the shame, and that you are the keeper and creator of your own experience, right? So, I think what happens is so many people go around and there's this blame thing going on, right? Like, oh, it's because of him, or it's because of
Yeah,
her, it's because of my boss, it's because of blah, blah, whatever. You finish the sentence, right? But we continue to encourage people to go back to yourself, to your core beliefs, to your center, and be accountable for your own stuff, right?
absolutely.
Not everyone is so willing to do that. But until you are, you're not going to be able to move through into a higher way of being, right?
Yeah.
And she did that just so beautifully. She also talked about that the healing of the trauma being sequential and cumulative, right?
Yeah.
And I'd never really thought about it like that. You think, oh,
Yeah.
like you're kind of going along and you're on the road and you're off the road and you're on the road and you're off the road and you're kind of all over the place. But if you really think back, Wayne Dyer did this so beautifully, but he talked about all of the things in his life, and they were all stepping stones.
Mhm.
Once you become 70 or so, you look back to those milestones and realize they were pretty sequential and they were cumulative, right?
Yeah.
Um,
It comes back to that when you know better, you do better. So you learn something and then that levels you up. And I think of it as a spiral. You keep going up, but it's not this. If you looked at it sideways, it could be like this. But because we have the times that we get taken down and and that's all normal. That's all part of life, part of being a human being. But
yes.
you keep getting back up, rising strong, as Brene Brown says, and you learn and then you do better. You know better, you do better, you keep moving forward.
Yeah.
I know that there was a minister that I had back in Costa Mesa many years ago, and he would say that all growth is cumulative, gradual, and sequential. So that idea that it's sequential, it's step by step, it's cumulative, it keeps growing, and that it is gradual. But then
Yeah.
the other piece of that is sometimes gradual, and then there's a leap. Like suddenly you have something transformative and you go through something really hard and you
Yeah.
level up. You just level up.
Yeah. One of the other favorites was just someone we had on recently, Harris Eddie Hill,
Yes. They
right?
were
And
awesome. I enjoyed them a lot. Yeah.
yeah, my goodness, I learned so much from them. But they have this beautiful center for childhood trauma healing, and he talked about this concept. We were talking about being sequential for your healing, and then somehow things are like you have this radical shift or whatever. But he speaks about this idea of trauma treatment being permanent, and I've never heard that
Mm.
term before. But I have to say, with a lot of my own trauma and my own healing, my thing was neuro-linguistic programming, which I guess he does some of, but he really, or excuse me, they believe that this treatment can be permanent. Now that doesn't mean that the trauma completely goes away. It's always sort of there, but it no longer triggers you. It no longer
Yes.
affects your decision making,
Right.
and moving your life forward. And
Right.
man, that gives me hope, right? That gives me
Yes.
so much hope because
Yeah.
there are so many human beings
With trauma.
walking around in their shit and thinking like, well, this is just my life. But to imagine that you could do something and make something permanent in your life, to make a
Yeah.
change like that. Wow. Wow.
Yeah. You take
Right?
the charge off it. That's great. This makes
Yeah.
me think, and I love these sort of visuals. So we think about everything going on in the world, and you think about a wheel. And so there's the spokes, there's the tire, and then there's the center point where it connects. And so if you're out here and it's going around, then you are constantly in this state of chaos and reaction. And oh my God, you're trying to hold
Yeah.
on and you're trying to do the things. And as you come in closer, getting more towards your center, and we use this term all the time, getting centered, now you're at the center of it and the chaos is out there and it's still going on. Nothing changed. The wheel is still going around. Nothing changed except you and your perspective because you put yourself in the center where it's going on around you and you stay calm. And so not
Yeah.
only are you calm and you're giving yourself that gift, but you're giving those around you that gift because they're like, oh, because our
Yes.
energy is, we feel each other's energy. So, and
Yes.
you all know this, if you're in the room with someone who is complaining, chaotic, in trauma all the time, in drama all the time, um, then you get sucked into that. And so sometimes you have to have some boundaries around that, like around the people you surround yourself with, because
Yeah.
the more empathetic you are, the more you take that energy on. But I don't know that anyone can be in this chaos space and not, well, actually, I shouldn't say that. You can do it. You can do it, and it's something to aspire to, but
Yes.
not always easy.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. I think that's something that I think about, that over this last year and a half almost that we've been doing these podcasts,
Mhm.
um, that everyone who shows up in our space is grateful. They're like, oh my gosh, you've created this beautiful space, right? Where we feel safe, where we feel grounded. And I think that's something that you and I do without thinking about it, right? It comes naturally because we've practiced it for so long. But I could think of 20 different people who have showed up in this little Zoom space with us and are feeling grateful, right? When their world is spinning around out there. And normally people who show up on a podcast maybe have a little anxiety, like, huh, I wonder what they're going to ask. I wonder what they're like. I mean, people are coming from all over the world. We kind of don't know who's going to show up. But I think consistently, people show up in our space and feel that. And I feel proud about that.
Yeah, it's important. It's important to consider what you're putting out and what space you're creating. I love that too. I love creating spaces where people can connect, can show up, can feel heard, can feel seen, can be their authentic self. Enough places out there where you feel like you have to armor up,
Yeah.
be something else, strive to fit in. Belonging, as again Brene Brown says, is is where it's at. Like that that is what matters when you feel that you belong and that you can be yourself and you can be authentic and you're safe to do that.
Yeah.
That's really important. So
Yeah.
be part of that, creating places for yourself to do that and for others to do that. Your kids,
Yeah.
your parents, your friends, your family, your coworkers, all the people. Everybody needs this.
Yeah.
Everybody needs a safe space.
On that note, I think those are a lot of the pearls that I have. And I think we're just about out of time, but man, do I love having a Marcy day.
I love having a Debbie Day. I love to just talk with you. And I love talking with all of our guests too. We've had amazing guests, but we
Yep.
have so much we want to say. You might notice there's not a lot of stillness. Like we're sharing and yes, yes, yes. And so we want to bring that to you. So
So
hopefully
thank
you got some
you.
pearls today for yourself. I know I
Yeah.
did.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you
And
for
thanks
joining us,
everybody for
Pod
being
family.
Yes, Pod family, we love you. Keep listening and give us feedback. We love that.
Yes, and stay centered.
Stay centered.
2.5 weeks. You got this. I got this.
And now for your core mental health break. This is your opportunity to take a moment to support your mental wellness, your peace of mind, your own ease and grace. Take some time every day to support your mental health. You deserve it, and it matters. So let's just take a moment to breathe. We'll take 3 deep intentional breaths to just bring ourselves to a place of center and calm. So breathing in through the nose, allow your chest and your belly to fill with air. Pause for a moment at the top of the breath, holding it before you release it. You can blow it out through your mouth, like you're blowing it out through a straw, or just release it through your nose if that's more comfortable. And now again, receiving that breath in, filling the chest, filling the belly, pausing at the top of the breath, and then release it all. Releasing it slowly and intentionally, calming your nervous system. One more time. Breathing in, pausing at the top, and releasing. Thank you for pausing for yourself today. Your mental health is important, and you deserve peace, calm, and ease in your life every day. So please, choose to receive it. It is always available right at your center, your heart, your core. Stay well, friends. Thanks for listening to the Warrior Parent Podcast, which is a production of our nonprofit, Cour Experience, who also creates and distributes Cour tools. You can find us at courexperience.org. Make sure you join us next week for another informative conversation to help you and your family show up mindfully, purposefully, and joyfully with each other and in your community.
Our Cour Tools platform consists of a number of proven tools and techniques that are designed to reduce stress, anxiety, and overwhelm in spite of what's going on in your world. We want to thank Samuel Hale, LLC, for sponsoring this podcast. Technical and marketing support comes from Inspire Your Brand. Our podcast editor is Justin Beeden. Opinions expressed by guests do not necessarily reflect those of the hosts, the producers, or the financial supporters. I'm Debbie DiManno.
And I'm Marci Mitchell. Thanks for listening. If you resonate with the idea of creating a community to help support kids and families, won't you join us by following the podcast and sharing this episode? You can even write a review. It truly does take a village, and we appreciate you.